right. All right, we have some viewers logging in. Hello, hello. Okay. All right, let's get started. Hi, everyone. Waiting for the connection for Rosalind to log in. Hi, Rosalind. How are you?
I'm very well, and you?
I'm good. It's so good to connect.
Yes, excellent. Thank you for organizing this.
Absolutely. Very excited. I think a lot of people are very excited about this. So basically, for all of you who are my follow or who are not my followers logging in, so I am the owner of Think Dyslexia on Instagram. I'm Dr. Lauren, and my experience with dyslexia is I am not an adult with dyslexia. I am an educator, so I've worked very closely with students with dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia in both private and public school at the elementary and middle school level. And I also have Orton Gillingham certification at the associate's level. So this kind of was like the start of my let's start this Instagram account, and it's just really been growing. And so I've been doing a few lives with some people in the community. I did a few lives, Rosalind. I didn't know if you knew this, but on Mondays I used to have Math Monday. So I used to connect with a former co-teacher, and we talk about dyscalculia. And so that kind of expanded. And then I did a live with another adult in the UK, Natalie, and that was great. And then last week or a week and a half ago, I did a live with Virtual Tutoring, and that was great. So now, we got some insight about let's expand more internationally. And then you and I connected, and I think everyone, my followers, are very interested in knowing who you are, what your experience with dyslexia is, what your professional page can bring for all to know and grow about dyslexia. So could you maybe tell us a little bit about who you are and your relationship with dyslexia?
Right. Hi, everyone. My name is Rosalind Abigail Trenati, and thank you so much for joining us today. I am joining in from Accra, Ghana, located in West Africa. So I am a hospitality professional, so I do consulting for hospitality entities and companies. But why am I talking about dyslexia at this moment and all that? I think even the people who follow me are kind of a little surprised as to my shift these days a bit talking about dyslexia. So I'll go back time in memory. Basically, when I was growing up, I was the girl that people thought about me as somebody who is dull, stupid, dumb, because I go to school and they teach anything and I don't get it. So even with reading, it took me like 17 years, at the age of 17, before I started picking words to kind of really travel around it and be able to read and kind of start to write. Even to date, I still struggle to read and write fluently like others would do. But this went on for so long. Like imagine my teenage year where we have something here called junior high school, and you have to finish junior high school, write a certain exams, pass before you can actually go to high school.
Right.
And so during the time when it got to the time that we are going to register for these national exams, I was going to a preparatory school at that time. And they called my mom and told my parents that because of my inability to perform very well, they cannot add me to their year group who are going to sit for that exams. And
Wow.
so if I really want to learn, write the exams, then they should take me somewhere else. And of course, no preparatory school would take me. So my parents had to travel, go to a village, register me. And so the week, it was 5 days exams. The week I had to travel to that village and sit for the exam. So imagine somebody who lives, let's say, in the city and have to travel to a village to go and be with some group of students that I have never met in my life.
Right, right.
And leave all my mates somewhere else, and they are writing exams, and I go and sit there and everybody will be like, who is this person who just joined us and all that. And I was in my teens because I
Right.
was
That's
repeating.
traumatizing.
Exactly. I was repeating class all the time. So I was already like 17 and I had to do this and I was traumatized. It brought my self-confidence down. It
Right.
really didn't give me meaning to life. And my parents, I felt like they were fed up of me because I was changing school and still nothing was coming. But lo and behold, my results came, and yes, I had failed. So the school was right. If they had added me to their group, I would have probably spoiled their record. And so I couldn't get to go to high school. So I've never been to high school before. So when it came, everybody was like, what can she do? Maybe she should go and learn how to braid hair or learn how to sew clothing and all that. But I really didn't have interest in any of them. And
Right.
so it was this guy who was a boys prefect to one of the schools I have gone before who took interest in me and was like, I don't think you should go and learn a trade. I'm not saying learning a trade is bad, but he felt that my potential wasn't to go and learn a trade. So he was like, when we come home to your place, you are able to entertain us, you serve people so well, you cook so well. So if you don't mind, you can go to a culinary arts school.
Yes.
And I was like, what is that? If it
Right.
was my first time. And then he started saying you can go there, you can actually develop a career after that and become like a cook or a chef. So for me, it sounded interesting to
Right.
me. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so what do we do now? We got everything with his help. We were able to fill the forms. And then I got the admission, took it to my dad. And I remember my dad's comments at that time. He was like, because culinary school in Ghana is quite expensive. You have to be doing practicals and be buying things all the time. So he was like, I'm going to waste another money of mine.
He was a little skeptical. He was skeptical. He's like, I don't know about
Yeah, he was. I'm going to waste another money of mine. So are you sure you want to do this? And I remember his wife was like, she's just going to waste the money. But then I cried and cried, and my dad was like, okay, I'll give you one more
one more
chance.
chance. One more
One
chance.
more chance. So he gave me the chance, and then I got to school. The day we went to the school, I remember these words he told the proprietor. He said, I'm bringing my daughter to your school. I don't have any hope for her. Please just let her walk in your school and let her finish in peace. So he left, and then I continue. For some unknown reason, culinary arts is theory, and then you bring the same thing into practicals.
Right.
So we learn this, we see this all ingredients and measurements and everything. And then I go to the practical room and I have to do exactly what was in the book. So
Sure.
I was like practicing and all that. And that shifted my mind. And I started picking stuff up. I started becoming very studious. My confidence started growing to know more. And so when it was at the end of the term and my dad was coming for me, he was caught by the proprietor and said, are you sure this was the same daughter of yours you described?
You
Because
found
look,
your passion.
exactly. Look at how she did. Look at her reports. She's almost leading the class. And so the next time I went, I started from being a class rep from every school I have been to until my master's level. So because I feel like when I'm a class rep, everybody is holding me accountable and responsible. Teachers are going to look up to me. And so the same way I learned in the culinary school, I became very studious, and that was how I managed through life. So fast forward, I have been able to go to the university to do my bachelor's degree. I've been able to do my master's degree as well. As a matter of fact, my master's degree, which I did in Switzerland, I was the best master's student of the year. You understand?
Wow.
But it's a lot of hard work. And even
Absolutely.
when I was doing the masters, it wasn't easy for me. But before going to Switzerland, I was speaking at a place, and when I finished a friend of mine, Farida, was like, Rosalind, I'm sure you are a dyslexic. And I'm like, what?
Like, what's that?
What's that? and and this was in 2016, and I was like, what's that? And she started talking. I didn't pay attention. I'm like, listen, I've had enough in my life already.
Don't throw more at me.
Exactly. Other dyslexia, it seems like you're telling me I have some disease, immediately registered in my mind. So I was like,
Right.
no. And then I left it. Now, when I was in Switzerland, then the same topic or the same word came up again, asking me,
Right.
are you dyslexic? And
isn't
I'm
this
like,
where you were diagnosed in Switzerland? Yeah, I remember reading that in your story, and I was
yeah.
like, wow, this is just fascinating. Okay,
Exactly.
yeah.
So that was why I was like, okay, then let me pay attention. So I went online, started reading dyslexia, and all the things he was describing, I'm like, this is me, this is me, this is me, this is me. So then I was like, okay, let me go and have an assessment. And then I did. And it was like, yes, you are dyslexic. I still, sometimes it's hard to accept some of these things. I still didn't believe it. I came back home to Ghana and I was like, okay, where can I go and have a dyslexia screening or assessment again?
Yes.
And I searched and searched. It was difficult, but later I found a way. And I went to one of the regional hospitals. There was a doctor there who was able to admit. Actually, she said she didn't have the things to use for an adult's assessment.
Really?
And so she used one for kids between, I think, the age of 5 to 13 or so on me. She was like, I don't have, this is what I have. And I said, I want you to do it. Use the ones you have to do
right.
it.
Yeah, use what you have. Yeah.
Exactly. So she used that on me and we went through all the assessment, went through math, went through English, we went through reading, spelling, and all that. And she was like, you are struggling even with this kid stuff I'm using for you. You were struggling. So how come you have been able to go through life and school and be so successful like that? And I was like, I don't know, but all I know is somebody also believed in me and really pushing me all the way up. And that's why I am here. So that's kind of in the summary, my relationship with dyslexia, and I got to find out just about 3 years ago. I'm 33 now. I got to know when I was 30, and so that's basically my story with how.
Yeah, and I think that that's such a beautiful story because for so long your self-confidence was just in the toilet, per se. You just really didn't feel good about yourself. But you found a way, like as you said, someone was there supporting you, someone believed in you. And I think oftentimes that's that one thing, even if students that obviously turn into adults, if they feel like there's that one or two or that one teacher that's like, you can do this, I think that can push someone to go a lot further in life. But my question for you is, having this diagnosis as an adult, was it freeing, or was it like, oh wow, now I have to really learn a new approach? I mean, how did you, I'm sure there were probably a whole slew of emotions that came with it. So I'm curious, like how did you process that?
So for me, both two experiences of having to go through the assessments in different locations, I cried on the day throughout because there was so much emotions. But then there was also joy, like a joy of finally getting to know what the issue is with me. Because for so long, even though I'm doing my work, I'm successful, people know me by the work I do and everything, I was questioning myself like
all the time.
What's wrong with you?
Right.
That sometimes when you see a word, you kind of have to break it down so much and think about it, and you spend so much on working on something that is simple that somebody can complete in like 30 minutes. So I have always struggled with that. So when I finally got to know that about dyslexia, I was like, wow, so this has been it all along. So it has given me now like a comfort zone where I sometimes tell people, let's say I go for a board meeting, I tell them, please, I'm dyslexic, and this is what dyslexia is about. And so if I'm going off or something you expect of me and it's not coming very well, pardon me, but know that I know the work I'm supposed to do and I will be able to deliver. So I make people aware, and it has given me that comfort. But up until knowing, I was living in a shadow where I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what was wrong with me.
Sure.
And I was thinking like, my dad was always associating it with me because when I was young, I went to live with my grandmother in the village. So he was always associating it with maybe because you lived in the village and started a village school.
Right. So there was something else that was going on that impacted through his.
That's what he said.
Right.
But then remember also that there are people in the typical villages who are so brilliant and smart that they are able to even come to the big city and come to university and get first class and be like first class students. So for me, that wasn't an excuse.
Right. No, that makes sense. But I think, you know, that awareness part, you know, your parents didn't know, your dad didn't know, and it was just like, there's something wrong.
My dad educationist.
Yes.
For over 35 years, he's an educationist, the head of a high school.
Interesting.
So he didn't know what was wrong with his daughter.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's fascinating. Wow. You know, I want to go back to a comment because I see that Natalie, Dyslexia in Adults. Hi, Natalie. Thanks for joining. She was the other woman I told you I interviewed, and she talked about just how it's important to tell your employers or people you work with that you have dyslexia. Because let's say they don't know what dyslexia is, or let's say they do. Either way, you're advocating for yourself to say, okay, hey, I'm in this board meeting. I might, you know, pronounce a word wrong or whatever it is. And I think that that's really good that you're able to advocate for yourself because you are aware. And, you know, when you talked about how there was a lot of emotions and you were crying, but it was also in a way of like, wow, I actually know, you know, what's wrong with me, you know, and I think that that can be very freeing. We do have a question in here from Brittany Mack or Brittany Match. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing it right, but she asked, did you notice any differences in instruction in Switzerland that may have helped with dyslexics, or was your success a result in your resilience developed over the years? So
Okay.
yes, I mean, was there a difference in the instruction in Switzerland, or was it more of just, you know, you were totally like persevering because you wanted it so badly?
So much difference. So I remember I was always getting into trouble when I was doing my bachelor's degree here, because over here in Ghana, when a teacher or a lecturer come to teach you something, they expect you to kind of bring out the same thing when they ask you a question. No kind of creativity, applying your knowledge or thinking outside the box for it.
Right.
And this is where I found myself in Switzerland, where they actually give you a problem
Okay.
to work on. And then you have to go and do your own research, gradual research for it, and then come out with solutions or suggestions or anything, and actually argue your points. So it gave me like that comfort zone where I'm able to apply my thinking, because
Right.
I'm a dreamer. I think about the box. Like before you think about A, I've thought to Z. And that's how my mind works. And so I want that challenge where I could be able to apply things and bring in things and be able to get you the same solution. But here in Ghana, it was different. You have to be like, if it is Kofi is going to school, you need to do the same. Kofi is going to school. You can't find another way to tell that Kofi is actually going to school. And so it was kind of really difficult for me. However, I have to also say, because I did Master of Science in Switzerland, it was more of a research-based master's program that I did. And so I struggled, especially when I have to read a whole lot of articles.
Yes. Those peer-reviewed articles are dense.
Yes, I struggled a lot. So at the time, what I was doing is I got this app on my phone. I'm sure it's still there, where I put every document there and it starts reading to me, so
Yes, you can hear.
so I can hear and all that. And also I have another app on my phone where there are books on it that I could just search an author and listen to the audio one, and then I'll be making my notes. And so that was the smart way I was finding to kind of get things going whilst I was in Switzerland. But it was really tough for me. However, I would always vote the teaching methods and how all the lecture, like the lecture times are divided into like meetings. So we don't say that we're going for class. We say that we're going for meetings, like a board meeting where they give us a topic to treat, like this company is not doing well in social media. What else can they do? And everybody would bring in their opinion, and they're actually grading you. For me, it was so grateful for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I think what I'm hearing is it's almost as if there's no specially designed instruction, no differentiation in terms of the schools in Ghana. It's like, you know, here's the problem, or here's the story, and this is the answer. It's almost like I don't know, like a machine. It's like your input and the output has to be the same, and not everyone thinks that way. And I think I mean, and that actually can be problematic here in the United States with some teachers or some mindsets, where some teachers that don't, at least here, don't understand dyslexia at all, and they just say, okay, well, let's send that student to the reading specialist, when really it's a bigger picture approach of you know, teaching and the methodology. So I think that's text to speech is what someone had mentioned, which, you know, I think that is a lifesaver. So for many dyslexics, and, you know, as an educator, I've had many conversations with parents who either are trying to accept their child has dyslexia because they don't, or they think it will go away. And I've had some parents say to me, well, isn't it cheating if my kid is listening to the book? They should be reading the book. And I'm like, that's not cheating at all. You know, actually that's how they are comprehending. And then I always relate it to, well, if you're in the car driving and you want to read your book, you're going to put an audiobook on. Are you cheating? No, you're listening to it while you're doing something else. And so I think it's that understanding various approaches to how kids and adults, because as adults in the workplace, we have to know, you know, what works best for us. But I just thought about that when you said, well, there's a specific approach or specific answer to when you were in the schools in Ghana, where it was like, this is how it had to be. And of course, that's why you struggled. And of course, that's why your self-esteem wasn't great, because you weren't able to produce whatever the teacher wanted. And then it just, why even try, you know?
No. And you know, like I remember I was telling someone recently that it was just few years ago that there were some marks on my legs that kind of left, but it was due as a result of canes, because of me getting to the bottom of the classes. The teachers will be caning you in front of all your peers, and they'll be caning you and be caning you because of some of these things. So it was really hard for me. And it was funny, you know, mine was so severe that they will ask you, you know, we do read in paragraphs. And so I will go and sit at maybe a friend that is very good and start counting the paragraphs and to know which one I'm going to read when it gets to my turn. And I'm like, read it to me. So my friend will start to read everything to me. It seems like I get it, everything. But by the time the teacher gets to me, because of the laugh and all the canings, I have lost it. I don't even remember what was said to me. And I'll just be like, I don't know.
Yeah, that anxiety. And then you would get in trouble for that.
Yeah, so to come back to what you were saying, yes, the school system in Ghana needs to be re-looked at. I have to also say that there are schools that are really doing well in the space, helping people like myself. But then it's also, you have to pay a price for it. You understand?
So
it's private school where you're looking at paying maybe $10,000, $20,000 a year and all that. So this is how many people can really afford that. And so when it comes to the government school, in totality, if I have a way or if I can push it, we need to really look at the government school side, including all the high schools and the universities. We need to kind of reevaluate and find different methods of teaching. because last year, which I'm not mentioning the school name, last year I was in a very, very good high school here in Ghana. People respect the school so well. And I wanted to go and do something there. So I asked about people who are doing home economics, like culinary arts students and all that. And this woman was like, oh, those people, they are not serious at all. They are not studious. They are not this and all that. And I was like, so that means you guys look down upon them, and they say, yeah, because they don't push themselves up. And I asked, do you know about dyslexia? And
Right.
she was like, what is that? And so at that time, I had written my article, and this was ahead of a high school, a very good high school.
And
And
she
I
had no
started,
idea.
no, no,
Wow.
no.
Wow.
So this
Well,
was just last year.
and I think the thing about it is, this is what I like to say. So when you have those teachers, at least I can only speak in American schools, but you have those teachers that are like, oh, you know, so-and-so's not going to amount to anything. He's going to be a mechanic. And it's like, but you know what? Everyone needs their car fixed. Everyone needs to eat. You know, these aren't jobs we should look down upon. Not everyone can or wants to be an academic scholar, you know, and everyone, and that doesn't mean if there is a culinary school or a class that you should say, oh, they just don't want to try hard. I mean, that mindset is damaging, you know, especially if you are a leader of a school, because
Yeah.
as you talked about with your self-confidence, no kid wants to hear a teacher or an administrator say, oh, this is the dumb class. You know, nobody wants to hear that.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And so can you touch base, and maybe we can get some questions soon, because I see some people have dropped in. I see Jen from Gem Tutoring is on. Hello. Yes, it's so important for teachers to be on board and optimistic. It absolutely is. But Rosalind, can you talk a little bit about your professional page, what your purpose and mission is for Africa Dyslexia Organization?
Sure. So after I discovered about 4 years now, I have been like wanting to really speak up. But one thing I realized was anytime I tried, it was full of emotion. For me, it's not easy to talk about my past without sharing any tear. It's like today I have to really pinch myself, like it's not going to happen on Instagram. So,
Right.
so that's why I'm that. But I last year to the latter part of last year, I was like, what's the point? Not to speak out, and you expect people to go through the stuff you have gone through. It doesn't matter, just speak out and really let people be aware of it. And so first I started with the Africa, the article, what every parent should know about dyslexia. So it has my story, which you read it has my story, and then a little bit about dyslexia. And I was like, no, I need to do this on a broader scale if I really want my voice to be heard.
Right.
If I really want to give help to people, then I need to do something. And in Africa or in Ghana, you are only listened when you're doing something that is regulated, something that is professional. So I registered for Africa Dyslexia Organization, and basically to bring awareness, support, and education around dyslexia to the public, and also really assist people with dyslexic. And so that's in summary what the organization is about. It's a baby organization because I registered it just within this coronavirus moment.
Right.
And so
right.
we're now working on our website and our brandings, and even thinking about launching or virtual launch. That's what we're going to do. But my ultimate goal, my ultimate is to be able to get it to the Ministry of Education and really make them to understand what dyslexia is about, because we have specialized schools that train the teachers before they bring them to school. And so those institutions that train them, I feel like for everybody to pass out to become a teacher or a lecturer, you should go through a training for dyslexia and how you can identify these people and all that. I know that when it comes to resources, it's a constraint, but what I'm hoping they can do is to have at least a testing centers in all the regional
Yes, yes,
regions so that it's easy for people to be able to go and have screening and
yes.
assessment at an affordable rate. Right now, if I tell you, those who are doing very, very good work in terms of screening privately are charging between $800 to $1,500
People don't have
in
that kind of
Ghana.
money. Yeah, you don't
In
have that.
Ghana, and that's
That's
a lot.
it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to get a diagnosis that then teachers and administrators are like, what do I do with this? And
Exactly.
I think it's beautiful that, and I'm seeing the comments. I think you can see the comments too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so Gem Tutoring, Jen, she's Ghanaian American, and she is loving everything you're saying. You're getting so much support, and I think that this is amazing. You know, as you said, your organization is currently in its infancy stage, and I
Yeah.
think, you know, if there's anything I can do to help, like, I am loving this conversation. I'm loving that you found me, you reached out, we're connected. Again, as I said before, the dyslexia community needs to see more faces of color. We need to bring more awareness to the Black students in the United States and the African students in various countries in Africa. And I think that a lot of people just are not aware. You know, when they think of dyslexia, as you and I were speaking before this live, a lot of people think it's, you know, white people. And there are Nigerians and Ghanaians and South Africans, and just everyone, you know,
Everyone.
Brazilians, Japanese. I
Every,
mean, it doesn't discriminate, you know. And I think
yeah.
I personally, as a Black woman, as an American, I want to bring awareness, and so I want to partner with you. How can we make this a broader cause, a global cause? Because this has got to stop. You know, we need to bring awareness. You know, you and I are the same age, and you went
Yeah.
through years and years and years of like, you know, I didn't feel good about myself, and now you are an accomplished, amazing woman doing excellent things and advocating, and your voice is out there. And I'm just so grateful that you're out there in your city, country, you know, doing what you can do to change and bring awareness. And I think that that is
Exactly.
just, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So why don't we take some questions? If anyone has any questions, I think I can do the question and answer thing and they'll pop up. I know we have a few people on here. So if anyone has any questions, that would be
Yeah.
great. If not,
Whilst
let's,
questions are coming through, I just have to say that, like, when it comes to dyslexia, I feel like for the first time in my life, when you mention one word, it's like one united voices. So I feel like you don't need, we don't have people like people are saying black person something or rich people something or white people something. It's a holistic something that we all need to give support and assistance to each other. When it comes to Ghana, little is done here. Little is known about dyslexia here. One of my challenge when my article came out that I faced was I got a lot of people reaching out to me and they were like, I'm so grateful for this article because
yes,
my child or my daughter is this that you have described, but I didn't know what was wrong. I felt like it was a curse or maybe she's
right.
lazy or he's lazy and all that. So I thank you. But then they follow. Where do I go to seek help? Where should I go to screen? What schools can I take my child to that is affordable within this range, which it was hard. But recently I discovered Nigeria. I have some friends in Nigeria now, Blessing and Lola, who are doing so much in Nigeria. And they are actually offering support for people with dyslexia and all learning disability support online. And so this way I'm planning to refer some of these parents of mine to start looking at by engaging them because they can actually teach your children or people's children through Zoom and all that. And so I'm grateful for that. But when it comes to Ghana, there's so much work for us to do here.
Yeah, and I hear that, and I know I have been looking a little bit into Nigeria, and it does seem like they have a system put in place. And I actually have been corresponding with I think he is a doctorate student, working on his educational psychology doctorate, and we've just been corresponding about just a student at a school that has dyslexia. He was identified at age 6. So yeah, I mean, I think, and maybe when you and I get off this live, I can kind of we can talk about that too. That would be really great to kind of you know, maybe there's some things that we could learn from him that you can kind of bring to Ghana. But yes, there's always so much work to do. And I'm just happy that you are able to really feel that you're confident to get your voice out there. I think there is a question from Snehal Learning. Let me see. How do I do this? I click, and can I do pin comment? No. I'm not really good with the questions. No, it's not coming up. But you can see it though. It says, do you feel that online tutoring is effective to dyslexics? I can speak a little bit to that, but maybe Rosalind, if you want to speak to it too. I mean, I'm given COVID-19, I've been moving obviously my platform of not doing in-person tutoring, because I do tutor through a contract tutoring business that works with students with dyslexia and dysgraphia and dyscalculia. And it's been challenging for me personally, because I like that in person where I can just on the fly, like write a comment or write a rule down or have the whiteboard. But I do think because I've had this relationship with my student, she understands my style. So even if it is virtual, she's still getting that impact. But I don't know, what are your thoughts about virtual tutoring for dyslexics?
I mean, I feel the same as well when it comes to the online tutoring. However, when there is change, people have to change and find ways and means to support people who need it. And so if you're taking it in the like in this moment that we are with coronavirus, then I would say that now it is you teachers who teach people, dyslexic people, already find creative ways all the time to teach them physically. Find that same creative way and coordinate with their parents to really be able to support them. So if there are some activities you have been doing with them in person and you think you can coordinate with their parents to be doing those activities, what you are teaching them online, that is excellent. Because for me, when I'm studying, I can only probably study up to the length of 45 minutes. I need a break. I need to distract myself and do something else. And if it's staying with the girl, then you have to make rooms for that, the people you teach as well, to also do that, to play, maybe listen to music, dance, or whatever, come back to you. But I feel like we have to find ways to adapt the online tutoring, because that is where we find ourselves now.
Right. That's kind of the wave of the future. You know, everything people, at least here in the United States, depending on what state, what school district, what city, some schools have kind of eased going back to school, given whatever, if their state's opening. But some schools, if they're private, they're like, well, we can go back, you know, a few days a week. So I do think there is that level of flexibility, and also kind of just learning a new approach of, at least with my Orton Gillingham training, everything is so multi-sensory. So how do you make it so multi-sensory when you're through a screen? You know, there has to be a kind of platform or a kind of app. And I know there are tons of apps for everything, to know how to put that in place. So I think that we're all figuring out online learning as a global issue.
Yeah. And I think sometimes you can, like Zoom and stuff, you can share your screen to really do an activity with the student. Recently, I've been following. I don't know if you've been following Nessie, but Nessie is a
yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I found out that they have all
stuff.
these exactly online stuff and gamings and stuff. It's phenomenal and fantastic, and I would say it will be something for teachers to look into it for your students.
Absolutely. So I don't know if there are any other questions. I think we're hitting our 40-minute mark right now, which is awesome. And I think this has been a great conversation. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we close out this conversation?
I mean, I just want to tell people that we in Africa, we need a lot of help, and you in the developed world, you have so much. You have so much. So please share some of your knowledge with us, and come visit us, and really help us to really grow. Africa Dyslexia Organization is on to an amazing journey, and we trust that you'll be part of it. Follow us, give us recommendations, and also just keep us in your prayers that everything really take form for us.
Thank you. I really appreciate
And
it.
lastly, what I want
Yes.
to say is never, never, never look down upon anyone. Any of your students, any of your children, never look down upon them, because the one that you actually think is good for nothing will be the one that will be good for something for you in the future, because that is my case now.
That's absolutely excellent advice. And I think in general, we all need to open our world, given what's been going on in the world, about how we do approach that, because you just never know. And I think, as you said, you were, you know, a living, breathing example of that, and you were very successful. Well, thank you so much for joining me in this live. You know, and I really appreciate all of the comments. I see that there are a few more. Please feel free to DM me or Rosalind. Would you like them to contact you on the Africa Dyslexia organization or on your personal handle?
Or any platform is fine. Yeah. And when you put my name, Rosalind Abigail Trenate, you'll find tons of information on how to contact me on any platform you want. I have all my information is circulating everywhere.
Yes, and before we get off, I will say, if you have not read her story, please, it's on your the link. You have a link, and it's your link tree, and it says My Story. Please read it. It's very motivational. It's insightful. It's really nice, and I know that you touched on it in this live, but it's always nice to kind of go back and read it. So,
Exactly.
well, thank you, and I hope you
Thank
have a
you
good,
too.
yeah, rest of your evening, I guess, because it's 4:00, 4:45 over there, right?
Yeah. For February. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, and keep doing awesome stuff, Lauren.
Thank you. You as well. We'll be in touch.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.